I invite you to close your eyes if you can. I'd like to begin this transmission with a little guided visualization exercise. Imagine yourself standing in a grassy field on a bright, clear day. Imagine the warm sun hitting your face and warming the grass. Imagine the smell of the trees around you. Hear the song of birds. Fill in all the details of this natural landscape. What does the breeze feel like against your face? What does the grass feel like on your toes? And now look out and see about 200 tents pitched all over the field, arranged in 4 neat circles of 50. In the center of each of these circles of tents is a fire. Walk through the grass, approach one of these fires. Hear the sound of laughter, the sound of guitar strings strumming, the fire crackling, silverware clinking as you approach this fire. And when you get to the fire, see the inhabitants of the surrounding tents, all gathered around, sharing a meal, sharing a laugh, sharing a song. Plop down on one of the chairs beside them and enjoy the company. Enjoy the support. Allow yourself to receive a compliment from the person next to you. Let it be something you really needed to hear that paints a smile across your face. Allow yourself to be handed a bowl of warm food from the person on your other side. Look into the fire and feel its warm light settling your nervous system, warming your skin. And take a look all around the circle at the community that surrounds you. Let the sight inspire a feeling of love in your chest. And let that warmth expand from your chest to your whole torso. Breathe into the sensation of love and connection and community. Let it spread to your arms and your legs. Let this warmth fill your hands and your feet and your neck and the top of your head. Heave a sigh of relief, of comfort, of safety. Let a smile be painted across your face. Imagine yourself going around the campfire, embracing everybody in a hug, looking out past the tents into the beauty of the natural elements. Now wander outside of the circle to see what's happening in the other circles. At one circle, notice an arts and crafts activity going on. Adults, children, and senior citizens alike, sprawled out on the grass, playing with paper mache and paint and stickers, connecting to their inner child, experiencing the whimsy of creativity, living in manifestation mode rather than mere survival mode, letting themselves express their emotions through the things they put down on this art project. At the next circle, visualize a concert. A few people gathered around the fire with acoustic instruments, singing their hearts out, tears in their eyes, smoke from the hearth on their face, expressing themselves in such a raw way that they could only do it if they were in such a safe environment. Now walk to the final circle and see a yoga class. A big group of people sitting still in meditation, breathing in unison, taking time to connect with their bodies. And now walk further out into the field until the full camp with all its 4 circles are in view. Breathe into this feeling of radical community. Breathe into the inspiration of relaxation that it provides. Say a few words of kindness about this space, a few things you admire about it, and now open your eyes. If you enjoyed that place you just went, I got a story to tell you. That is exactly the environment I just spent the last weekend at a festival called Dance Camp East in the UK. I mean, it was nothing short of life-changing, and I have a lot to tell you about it because I believe it reveals a roadmap for the future of our society. So peace and love, y'all. Welcome back to another moment of stillness. My name is Itai Atula, a traveling yoga teacher whose job is translating ancient yoga wisdom into modern tools for transformation as I solo travel the world. I'm currently on No Place Like Om, Europe's biggest yoga tour, teaching yoga in about 20 of the continent's biggest cities, in partnership with Eurail and Europe's famous hostels. This transmission is coming to you live from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, where I have a day off. About to head to Amsterdam to see some friends. The first leg of this tour was in the UK. I taught some classes in London and Edinburgh, but between those classes and my class yesterday in Rotterdam, which was amazing by the way, I spent 1 week completely off the grid at the lovely paradise of Dance Camp East. But before I tell you how magical it was, I gotta set you up with a little bit of context of who I am and where I come from. Listen, I'm a city boy as it gets. I was born and raised in Lower Manhattan, New York City, and that's the only place I've ever lived in my whole life. Of course, I used to go camping and stuff as a kid, but my comfort zone is being in the capital of excess, surrounded by tall buildings, busy people, and scarcely a trace of nature. Before I was a yoga teacher, I was in a band for 7 years, and we would tour the world all the time. Tour life is very interesting because you move from city to city every single day. It can be very high energy, very stressful even, but I grew to love it because it combines my love of traveling and sharing music with other people. And so I'm used to moving very fast. I think you might be able to relate to the sensation of living in a world that runs on such high speed that it's actually harder to slow down than it is to just keep going at a really fast pace. That's kind of the pace that I've been going at here on this No Place Like Om yoga tour. I'm in a new city every roughly 3 days, and I'm constantly connected because part of my work, part of my karma yoga involves posting online. All that to say, I was perfectly ripe for an experience like Dance Camp East to change my life. I was connected to Dance Camp East last last January when the organizer named Aaron hit me up on Instagram and he said, do you want to come teach daily yoga classes at this festival? And I'd never been to a camping festival, so I said sure. In fact, I planned this whole Europe tour around that because I was so excited about the festival that I wanted to make the most of my trip to Europe. That being said, I had no idea what to expect because I'd never been to a camping festival before. He was like, don't worry, I got a tent for you, I got everything you need, we got food, just pull up with yourself and your lovely teachings and we'll take care of the rest. So boom, 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 6 months later, I'm in the UK, taking a train from London to Suffolk County, which is a rural part of England. Keep in mind, I'd never been to rural England before. And already, as I'm riding the train, looking out at the fields around me, I'm seeing, oh, there are old, friendly, powerful ghosts all over the British Isles. Because I'd never been outside the cities before. And immediately I felt this deep connection with the culture of paganism, of druidism, of fairies and wizards that has been extensively chronicled for thousands of years in the British Isles. But it's amazing how disconnected we get from that just being in the city. So immediately I knew I was on sacred ground. Later I would find out that the farm that the festival was at is actually along this ley line, which according to astrocartography is very, very close to the heart chakra of the world. And so there are very subtle but powerful energies all over this geographical location where Dance Camp East is held. When I got off the train, I was met by Victor, one of the organizers, and driven to the festival grounds, where I saw exactly what I told you to visualize earlier. About 200 tents arranged in 4 circles, everyone helping each other to start fires, build tents, roll wheelbarrows, shelter from the rain, and cook food. And my phone had no service. I kind of anticipated this. I scheduled all my videos beforehand. I told my parents see you in a week, but still, it was a bit scary. I was experiencing withdrawals because like a lot of people in my generation, I've not been without my phone for a week straight and as long as I can remember. I don't think I've ever done that, but I was excited for what it would reveal. So I just put my phone in my tent, put everything in my tent, and started walking around. Immediately, I started experiencing some withdrawals. Immediately, which is crazy. Hit me right away. I'm so used to the constant influx of information, being able to Google anything I want, being able to message my friends at any time. And it was an adjustment to slow down and not do that. Like I said earlier, our world is so addicted to a fast pace that it feels itchy and gross sometimes to just go slowly, even though it's exactly what we need. The festival was a week long. I taught yoga class every single morning, and then I had the rest of the time to do whatever I wanted. There were so many lovely workshops on, because the festival is essentially made up of a bunch of different people who are passionate about a certain thing. One day I went to salsa fit class, one day I went to a meditation class, one day I went to a plant medicine ceremony, one day to a private shamanic healing session, one day I learned about the Alexander technique for improving my posture, one day I was healed by a Tesla violet ray machine, and above that, every day there was beautiful live music, lovely communal dinners around the campfire, and various camp-wide meetings where we all sat in a circle holding hands and shared whatever we wanted to share. And the effects that it had on me were so deeply profound. I'm sure you can already imagine, but it went deeper than I could have ever imagined. Above all, there was no animosity being thrown around. Every interaction I had was so kind and gentle and generous. No one had anywhere else to be. So the eye contact was so deep, the hugs were so long and tight, everyone's walking was so slow and intentional. Everyone had time to do favors for each other, make gifts for one another, and have deep conversations. In an environment like that, I found that my inner critic was so silent. When I scroll on my phone, when I move through the busy world, my inner critic is so loud, always making me doubt myself, second guess my decisions, not express myself to my fullest capacity. But because there was no judgment or animosity at dance camp, I had no feelings of insecurity or self-doubt or second guessing. And as a result, I was able to give a lot more generously and ask without shame. In the true spirit of co-creation, I didn't let anything stand between me and my ability to give and receive. That also naturally nourished my creativity so deeply. I was creating every day with no insistence on the outcome. I didn't care for it to be shared or judged or critiqued, just for it to be expressed. I made music with so many amazing people, made lovely arts and crafts, came up with games, helped solve problems. All these instances of creativity that we usually take for granted were so fun. Because that was all we were doing. There were no distractions. There was no thought of what's outside. And in my yoga sessions, I found a deep impact. Usually when I teach in big cities, I have to preface by saying, you know, you can leave everything from the outside world behind. You can forget what's for dinner tonight. You can forget everything you went through at work today. And at the dance camp, I didn't have to say any of that stuff because it was such a unique environment where people already left all that stuff behind. And I found it make people so much more open for transformation. People were crying during my guided visualizations, staying in meditation for longer than I even instructed them to, and in general, going a lot deeper than would have been possible elsewhere. Me personally, I was even able to go super deep myself. I was having vivid dreams every single night. Visions during the day of another realm. I'd say it was one of my first experiences with waking astral projection, where I could see another realm during my waking hours. Everyone at this festival was so spiritually sensitive that I felt I could be myself, I could express my sadhana or my practice in any way I wanted without judgment, and I could go deeper around people who understood me. So I'm emerging from the camp now with this deep desire to keep that same energy as I move through the busy world. Look people in the eye, walk slowly down the street, stay playful, make time for quiet and stillness. And above all, I really do believe that if this kind of event was more widespread. If everyone was able to live in a community like this, for even just 1 week a year, let alone year-round, the world would be a very different place. Because the truth is that our physiology has not evolved that much since the time when our species was living in communities just like this one. Small tribes of around 200 people, all sitting around the fire, helping each other, with no knowledge of what was that far away from them. The truth is that our brains and bodies are not built to hold the grief of the world, the truth of the world. And I believe that this simple life is the cure for a lot of our problems, be it climate change, global wealth inequality, or the mental health crisis. The problems are so deep-rooted that we grow up thinking that they need to be solved within these big cities, on this global arena, where we all see each other, and we're in a race for who can get more and more and more. This competitive spirit of acquiring wealth, of self-improvement, of being the best, cannot coexist with the solution of a lot of the world's problems. After being at dance camp for a week, I can see that the only solution for the way our species is headed is to dismantle the society that we know and return to a simpler way of living. I told you about all the benefits it left me with, and I'm sure as I was saying it, you felt a little twinge of it too. As I was giving you that visualization earlier, I know you were tempted to go and try it. The good news is dance camp is not the only one. These kind of futuristic communities are available all over the world. I implore you to do some research and get involved in one, because it will be a life-changing experience. Something you will look back on for the rest of your life as a pivotal moment of transformation. I dream of a world where that is the norm, where we can put our own health and safety and joy above needing to exchange time for capital, above needing to work for somebody else, above a disconnection from nature, above a competitive society. Please leave a comment under this post and make a plan to yourself to go get in nature at some point this week. Even if it's just for 5 minutes or 1 hour, tell me exactly how you are going to go and hug a tree or sit in the grass or swim in a lake over the next week. When you're there, I want you to think about what I just said. Think about how our species is designed to live in these environments. Not in New York City where I was raised, not in Rotterdam where I am now, connected with the elements. Let me know in the comments what that plan is for you. And I want to end this transmission by saying that this is not a new idea. This is how every indigenous culture has lived throughout history. And beyond our personal responsibility to go and protect ourselves by experiencing this environment, we have a responsibility to protect the communities that uplift, uphold, and preserve the tradition of indigenous culture. That week has inspired me to go sit at the feet of a master, whether it be a Native American community where I'm from, or a deeply traditional tribe anywhere else in the world. I want to learn everything. How they treat each other, how they eat, how they sleep, how they walk. The reason I translate ancient yoga wisdom into modern tools for transformation is because that I know the keys to our future are in the ancient past. The Anthropocene, the world as we know it, with all of its industrialism and capitalism, has been just a blip in our species' history. Our job is to remember what came before. Thank you, Dance Camp, for giving me that memory. I love you dearly, and the fact that you are here with me means that you are making the world a better place. I love you, and I'll catch you next time. Peace and love.